Did your teacher tell you that your analysis paragraphs are vague? Are all your friends writing great paragraphs that slap, but you don't know how to explain your ideas? Do you feel frustrated? Do you wish you had some examples of effective analysis?
I'm Dr. Clay Zuba, inventor of Zubify. Your instructor has probably already taught you how to write strong analysis paragraphs, but sometimes there's nothing like a good example to help you know if you're on the right track. If you watch this video to the end, you're going to be able to write analysis paragraphs that slap it. Yes! Slap it.
I'm going to tell you the truth. Writing analysis is difficult. You won't succeed just by reading a work and getting the general drift of what the author said. You have to read closely and think about how the author is saying what they were saying and how the way that they are saying it matters in helping them achieve their purpose. And even this isn't even enough, because then you have to write. You have to show a reader your interpretation of key parts of the passage, how your mind sees them unfolding for the reader, and how this helps the author achieve their purpose. The more dense and complex the passage is with literary devices and rhetorical choices, such as metaphors, paradox, allusions, and sentence structures, the more steps you need to take in order to show the reader what your thinking is. Even more, different rhetorical choices and literary devices require different strategies for you to explain them in writing. It would be impossible for me to teach you all of them, but today we're going to try to tackle a few of them. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to write about sentence structure, metaphor, paradox, juxtaposition, and anecdotes. Yes! Today, we're going to adhere to the simple paragraph construction that I taught you in my last video, How to Write Paragraphs, where our pattern is topic sentence, evidence, commentary, concluding sentence. Yes. If you haven't watched that yet, you need to watch it! I'll put a link to it in the description. Now, these are going to be examples of writing for my students. They worked hard on these and revised them and tried to make them as strong as they could, but they're not going to be perfect. You may find grammatical mistakes or weird sentence structures or something, but in a way, we can learn more from student writing than from something totally polished. I'm going to point out what is good about each example, and I'm going to also suggest at least one correction that can make each one stronger. Yes. Our first example analyzes periodic sentences. Let's see if the writer has all the necessary parts in their paragraph, and then let's see how good a job they do in their analysis, in their commentary. I can see here that this writer is identifying periodic sentences as the rhetorical choice in their topic sentence. I notice that they don't exactly include the purpose of that periodic sentence. However, I do see that they have it in the second sentence. I can see I've got a second sentence after the evidence, which is not ideal. I can see now, though, that I have evidence here, which is in the form of a quotation. And here's my commentary, which is definitely about periodic sentences, and then I have a concluding sentence. So yes, this writer has all the necessary parts in their paragraph. However, I did have a couple ideas that can make this paragraph even better. My first move was to combine the first and the second sentence, contain some repetitive information between them, and this made it easier now to see the purpose of the periodic sentence in that topic sentence. I also added this part in the red here, which is helping explain the importance of this word, the fall, in the evidence. Before it had said something like, being connected in a harmful manner will result in a dangerous essence, or something kind of vague like that. In my new example here, I'm saying it's degrading nature and themselves rather than an essence. And I'm also connecting this word fall here to this idea of a impure and corrupted state, just to explain it a little better and see how the word fall creates this word degrade. I'm happy to tell you I finally have a helper, and it's Licky Boy. Licky Boy came up on the desk and he laid down on the towel because he is a good boy and he knows how to help. Sometimes, if you're lucky, he won't even knock down anything or just run around. He'll just sit there and purr. Like he's a good boy, which is why I'm happy to welcome him as helper of the day. Thanks, Licky Boy. Other than that, though, this was an excellent paragraph. Yes. Our second example is analyzing a metaphor. Let's see if we all have all the right parts in our paragraph. We have a topic sentence, which I think is identifying the purpose, but it's not identifying the rhetorical choice. I then have evidence here in the right spot. I then have quite a few sentences of commentary here, which always is promising to me. If I see two sentences and they're pretty short, I know the commentary is probably not going to work because it simply takes more space on a page to explain commentary. And finally, I can see now here, I've got a concluding sentence. So I have all the necessary parts in this paragraph. I improved this paragraph just a little bit by one, including the rhetorical choice and literary device in the topic sentence. I also added a little bit of language here to help unpack the metaphor. This writer is overall doing a good job because she is connecting the parts of the metaphor that are figurative to the literal parts of the metaphor. However, I did think this language helped a little bit, and I did feel like this analogy helped explain the metaphor. Good job overall, writer. Yes. Our third example is about irony and paradox. This writer has the rhetorical choices in the topic sentence. Yes. They then have their evidence. Yes. And then I can see we've got our commentary here. And I'll just let you read along with me. If I read it out loud, it sounds weird. This person is doing a good job of showing the contradictions here that are in this evidence. I had a couple corrections here that helped. I included this word contradict here to help emphasize where irony shows up. And this part explains a little bit more about what's happening. And I finally updated this sentence a little bit here because here now we're showing the paradox more clearly because we're showing something that's described as impossible in the paragraph. Feel free to pause whenever you need to if you need to read these paragraphs. Our fourth example, juxtaposition. Yes, let's read it. Cronin relies on juxtaposition to persuade his audience to have a responsible relationship with the wilderness, challenging their way of thinking. Clear topic sentence. It's got the rhetorical choice and the purpose in the topic sentence. Yes. Here I've got my evidence, and here I've got the writer unpacking the evidence here, showing the significance of the words field and supermarket for the reader, and then showing what's implied by those words, and then finally how those words unpack the purpose for the reader. I did, as in previous examples, make just a little change here in the sense that I added the words field and supermarket again down here in the commentary, just so we can see which parts are being juxtaposed in relation to the evidence. Yes. Finally, I have a slightly longer example that is about personal anecdotes and the use of a personal anecdote to explain. Let's read this one. While the calm and beauty may be interpreted as only coming from literature shows that it is the product of books such as hers. No rhetorical choice or literary device in the topic sentence. We've got some showing here, but we don't know what's doing the showing. So we don't quite have an analysis topic sentence yet. Readers can learn about themselves and connect to the world around them. Again, this is useful, but it's maybe part of the purpose rather than the rhetorical choice. Here we've got the rhetorical choice. So when I revise this paragraph for you, I'm going to move this personal anecdote part up to the topic sentence. She creates a beautiful image of a woman in a workshop when she speaks to a book. I'm going to just read this in my head now. This is a really nice paragraph. It's unpacking the evidence really well. I am going to make one adjustment here, though. Two adjustments. I'm going to move this part of our personal anecdotes to the first sentence. I'm actually combining the first and second sentences as well. And finally, I am unpacking this word balance a little bit. This writer is smart by referring back to the word balance and showing its importance, but I thought it was also necessary to show what this word balance means in this context, because we can't rely on the reader to guess what we're thinking in our brains. One thing you should also be noticing about all these paragraphs, and you might be not noticing just because the writers are never making the mistake I'm going to tell you right now, is that you have to make sure your paragraph is all about the same thing. If I were reading this paragraph and the writer was writing about personal anecdotes and then they had their evidence and then they started talking about imagery or juxtaposition or metaphors or something else down here, that would be a no. This would require revision. All of the paragraphs I'm showing you stayed on topic, which is harder than it looks. I hope this video has helped you understand how to write effective analysis. Remember, the key to effective analysis comes in the commentary and interpretation. This part comes after your evidence, and it shows how your evidence supports the claim in the topic sentence. Writing detailed analysis unpacks the content of your evidence for the reader and makes explicit what the author of the original work that you're analyzing only made implicit in the complexity of their writing. Thanks for watching Zubify. Come back for more Zubify.